Hey guys, Mike Bland with SIS Global Investigations. Just wanted to do a follow-up video on that Nashville shooting, the active shooter deal at the Covenant private school down there. Being a retired law enforcement and having done a lot of tactical training and, call outs to guys with guns, guys with knives, all the same stuff. I honestly wanted to say, hats off to those Nashville cops. The way they responded and the timeline, it was like 3 minutes, 17 seconds. That's pretty much unheard of. That went down with just, an amazing amount of quick response. The way they were communicating, the way they were moving, the way they were shooting, the way they were conducting themselves. And keep in mind, a lot of people don't have, other than TV and movies, have no idea how the stuff really works and how much training police really get. Even though the police are getting training for active shooter type stuff now, and have been for years, compared to what like a full-time SWAT team trains or what a military trains, you're talking an 8-hour class, maybe a 16-hour class. This put on for a couple of days. You're not talking any substantial amount of training at all. Actually, still not even enough training what you really need in that scenario. In other words, you need far more. When it really comes down to it, you can never have too much. But what I'm saying is, really it'd be nice if they had weeks or months long of the training. But again, these guys are doing other roles, working on the road. They don't have the time, the money, the budget for all of these things. So the thing is, again, for the way they did handle themselves and in this scenario is pretty amazing. Compared to, especially a couple years ago, we had a cop in Florida that was afraid to even go into school or refused or whatever. You hear all these stories. And then over the years, the training from Columbine starting out up until now is completely the training and the response has changed, because back in the day, the initial response to law enforcement was to show up, stage, surround the area, get the SWAT team, get a game plan, find out what's going on, start asking questions, get negotiators, and basically be safe. And the officers were trying to, kind of trained to preserve their own life first, but then they started realizing these people were in there getting shot and killed actively. So in that case, you cannot stand by. You cannot obviously wait to see what's going to happen and then just go into a building with 100 dead victims in there. You have to go in there and stop the loss of life. So these officers, in literally a 3-minute time period, went in there and handled business. And honestly, it was quick. It was very quick. It was like, it reminded me of if even had a SWAT team went in there. I don't think it would have been any faster. It might have been slower even. They sometimes, depending on how quick and how methodical you're going to move and how safe you're going to move, there's different, and that gets into, that's a whole other topic. There's different methods of training. There's training where you go in, and I talked to military, tactical guys, SWAT guys, and even some SWAT teams and military guys train completely different. I was talking to a guy in St. Louis who was a former infantry guy or, airborne ranger kind of deal. And he was talking to me about their training and how they, when they were in the Middle East and deployed, how they cleared rooms. And he was debating it with the St. Louis City SWAT guy and the different tactics on entering. And I'm trying to remember which guys did which, but one of them entered quickly and just rushed in, went straight to the target and took him out. The other guys were saying that they moved more slowly, deliberately, cautiously, clearing every inch, every room. And I think it was I want to say it was the military guys that said they went in faster. And I think it was the SWAT guys that said they was kind of looking at them like they were crazy. And I think they did more of the quick peek, slicing the pie, looking around corners. That gets into a whole lot of personal opinion on that. And a difference of opinion, frankly, is what that comes down to. And just the fact that there is not always a right or wrong in every scenario. You're always going to have guys say the other guy did it differently, or could have, did it wrong. But at the end of the day, the one methodology we always had is from being a cop was, if you went home at the end of the day and you saved lives and you did the job and you took care of business, then you did it the right way. The armchair quarterbacking stuff and all of that people always, always want to try to critique this or that. You can pretty much just ignore a lot of that stuff. A lot of the guys that say they would have done it better or handled it differently, those are usually the guys that would freeze up and be terrified and not take any action at all. So again, you have to really take a lot of things into consideration. But the fact that these law enforcement officers are also not, you have some guys more also physically fit nowadays than back in the day in law enforcement. The nutrition, fitness, and things are more at the forefront and more encouraged. Physical standards are a little better than they used to be. So you're talking about police with very minimal training still at the end of the day. Very minimal tactical training. Still not, the tactical training the police have is nowhere near what it should be. I can tell you that from being in former law enforcement. I've done SWAT stuff, been to police sniper school, been a police chief. When I got out of law enforcement and had my private investigation business the last 10 years, I continued doing far more and had more access, more of a budget for, more time to do tons of tactical training. More sniper schools, room clearing, escape and evasion, survival. All these things, all the stuff I should have had as a law enforcement officer. I never received it. Just except for the sniper school and then the on-the-job experience with the SWAT type stuff, call-outs, high-risk raids, drug houses, armed subjects, barricaded persons, guys with guns, guys with knives, the whole deal. You can never have enough training on that stuff. The only guys out there on the road that are actually the real deal on law enforcement are the departments, and there's very few in the country that have a full-time dedicated SWAT team, where when they go to work for 8 hours a day, like St. Louis County, LAPD, New York City, Miami, places that have the budget, the annual budget, the grants, the funding for a type of unit, and a lot of them, if they have downtime or they're short on the road, the guys will patrol as like a marked patrol unit on the road to help with manpower. But they're not really getting stuck writing accident reports and things. They're just kind of an extra presence. So they're always geared up. They're always ready to go. They're working out. They're training. Those guys they have the level of training to confront a lot of situations. But these guys, I want to say hats off to you guys in Nashville. That was impeccable response, training, professionalism, moving, communicating, shooting. Had they ran across any other adversaries, even more serious, I really think they would have been able to, shut that shit down, as they say, and take care of business. And even if it turned into a confrontation, they would have at least, cordoned off the threat and stopped it in its tracks, contained it is the word I'm looking for. And it wouldn't have grown into something bigger. It would have just been a confrontation in between law enforcement and worst case scenario and bad guy or bad guys. So good job, guys.